In this video, we're going to do a few extra examples constructing truth tables, so for logic. So let's start with the first one here. So we want the truth table for this statement, P or Q, and not P and Q. Okay, so I only see P's and Q's there, so my truth table is just going to have a column for P and a column for Q. So I'm just going to set it up here. Okay, and I'm going to have 4 rows. So 2 options for each of the 2 variables. So that's 2 squared. Okay, so then P could be true or false. And then with that, Q could be true or false. Okay, so that's the setup for our truth table. And now I want to build up to this compound statement. So I'm going to do P or Q first. Okay, so this is true if at least one of these P or Q is true. So it's going to be true, 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 and this is the only case where it's false because both P and Q are false. So everywhere else, there was at least one true. Okay, and that's all we need for the OR to be true. Okay, now I also need P and Q. So I'm going to do that one next. Okay, now P and Q is true only when both P and Q are true. So that's the first row, and everywhere else, at least one of them is false. So that means the AND is going to be false. Okay, now what I actually wanted was not that. So that's going to be my next column. Okay, now this is just going to have the opposite truth value from the P and Q. So that one's going to be false, and the rest of them are going to be true. Okay, now finally we can put these together. So it's P or Q and not P and Q. Okay, so that is P or Q is this column ANDed with this column. Okay, so those are what we want to look for. So I want to see where I need, because it's an AND, I need both of these things to be true. Okay, so in the first row, P or Q is true, but not P and Q is false. So here, this is going to be false. Okay, in the second row, they're both true, so I get a true. In the third row, they're also both true. And in the last row, P or Q is false. So that's enough to say this is false. So that's going to be the truth table for that compound statement. Okay, let's try another one. So I have here it looks like P, Q, or P, Q, and R's. So I'm going to have 3 variable columns. So because I have 3 variables, I'm going to need 8 rows. Okay, so that's 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 options, true or false, for P, for Q, and for R. Okay, I'd like to have the lines in here to make it a bit more clear. Okay, so now when I set it up, so half of these are going to have P true. So the other half are going to have P false. Okay, and now in the P true section, Q is going to be true half the time and false half the time. Okay, similarly with the false section. And then R is just going to alternate. So when P and Q are both true, R could be true or false. Okay, and these two, P and Q, are both the same, so I need to alternate R. Okay, that's going to guarantee that I get all 8 combinations. Okay, so now I want to build up to this. So maybe I want not R column. Okay, you might be able to not have this one, but so then I'm just going to have the opposite truth value from R. So it's going to alternate the other way. Okay, and then I can do Q or not R. Okay, so Q or not R, I need at least one of them to be true. So here, oops, here Q is true, so that's enough. Here they're both true, so that's a true. In the row 3, they're both false. Okay, so that's a false. In row 4, not R is true. In row 5, Q is true. And then they're both true, and then they're both false again. And then here, not R is true. Okay, so that's that one. And then we could do P or R. So that's the other side. So again, we're looking for at least one of them to be true. So in the first 4 rows, P is true. Okay, that's enough to say that P or R is true. So I can just immediately say the first 4 are true, and then I know P is false in the last 4, so I just look at where R is true. So that's row 5 and row 7. So row 5 and row 7, and then these ones, they're both false. And now I want to put these together with an AND. So Q or not R, and P or R. So I want to AND these two so that this is going to be true when both of them are true. So in the first row, they're both true. Second row, they're both true. The third row, one of them is false. So that's enough. Here, they're both true, one of them's false, one of them's false, and one of them's false. So that's what our truth table looks like here. Okay, now let's try another one. So here I just have P's and Q's, but I have this exclusive OR that we haven't seen yet. So I set up my truth table again. So a column for P, a column for Q. And I'm just going to need 4 rows. Oops. Okay, so set it up like normal. So true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. Okay, so then I need P and Q. Okay, so I can do that one. So this is true when they're both true. That only happens in the first row. So all these other ones are false. Now I need not P or Q, so I might want to have a not P row or column. So that's the opposite truth value from P, so that's going to be false, false, true, true. And then not P or Q. So I need not P or Q to be true. So here Q is true. Then they're both false. And then these two, not P is true, and that's enough to say this is true. So now I have my bits that I want to exclusive OR together. So P and Q, exclusive OR, not P or Q. Okay, so again, we're looking at this column and this column. Okay, and exclusive OR means that exactly one of them is true. Okay, that's when this is true. So in the first row, I see they're both true. So that's actually a false here. In the second row, they're both false. Okay, so that's a false. And in the third and fourth row, P and Q is false, but not P or Q is true. So exactly one of them is true. So those two rows are going to be true. Okay, just a couple more. So here I have P's, Q's, and R's. So my truth table is going to have 8 rows. Okay, I think that might be 8. So now I set it up. The first half have P true. The second half have P false. And then it goes true, true, false, false for Q. And then true, false for R. Okay, so now I want to build up to this compound statement here. So I need not Q. Okay, so maybe I have a column for that. So that's the opposite of Q, so it's going to be false, false, true, true. Okay, and then I have not Q implies R. So the implication is only false when I have a true and then a false. Okay, so that's when it implies, that's when you get a false. So that's what I'm looking for. So the first 2 rows have not Q being false. So that means the implication is immediately true. Okay, now the next 2 rows have not Q being true. Now in the first one, R is true, so true implies true is true, but then I have true implies false, so that's false. The next 2, not Q is false, so that's immediately true. And then again I have true implies true, and then true implies false. Okay, so I get 2 rows where it's false. And then I see that I also need not R. Okay, so that's going to alternate starting with F. And then I need P exclusive or not R. Okay, so we're looking at P, which is over here, and not R. So I want exactly one of them to be true. So in the first row, I have a true and a false, so that's a true. In the second row, they're both true. In the third row, oops, they're both true, so that means that the exclusive or is false. In the third row, I have P is true, not R is false, so that's a true. And then again, I have them both true, so that's a false. Now in the next 4, I know that P is always false. So what I'm looking for is where not R is true. So that's going to be here and here. So those are going to be true, and these guys are going to be false. Okay, and now I can put them together. So not Q implies R, or P exclusive or not R. So that's this column and this column ORed together, regular OR. So I want, the only time it's false is when they're both false. So in the first row, they're both true. In the second row, one of them is true. In the third row, they're both true. In the fourth row, they're both false. So that's when I get a false. fifth row, I have one of them true, and then I have them both true, and then one of them true, and then again one of them true. So there's only one instance where they're both false. Okay, that's here, and that's where I get the false. So that's my truth table for this one. And we have one more to do. And again, it has P's, Q's, and R's. So it's going to be 8 rows. So let's just set it up here. Okay. So, oops. So, the first 4 have P true, and then the next 4 have P false, and then true, true, false, false for Q, and then alternate for R, beginning with true or false. Actually, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I want not P, so I might as well do that one. Okay, so that's going to be all false for the first 4, and then all true for the second 4. Here's where it's nice when you have a pattern, so you immediately know the negation. I also need not R. So that's going to alternate starting with false. Okay, so if I'm looking here, I have this, now I have this, so I want this bracket. Okay, so that's not R or P. Okay, so I'm looking at not R row or column and the P column. And remember, or is only false when they're both false. So in the first 4, I know P is true, so I know this is true right away. And then down here, not R is false, so then P and P is false. Then I have not R is true, and then not R is false, and P is false, and then here not R is true. So that's enough. Okay, now I want Q if and only if not R or P. Okay, so the if and only if is true when these two things have the same truth value. Okay, so I'm looking at this column and this column. So when they're the same truth value, it's true. Okay, so here they're both true. So that's going to be true. Okay, here a true and a true. So again, true. Now I have true and a false. So that's going to be false. And again, true and a false. And then I have false and true. So that's false. True and true. False and false. So that's the same. So that's true. And then true and false. So that's a false. Okay, and then lastly, I want not P and the column we just did before. Okay, so this column and this column are for here. So, and I need them both to be true. So again, the first 4, we know not P is false. So I immediately know that this is false. Okay, now in the last 4 rows, not P is always true. So I just want to look here and I see that Q, if and only if not R or P, is going to be true in these rows. So that means this is going to be true, true, but these guys are going to be false. So that is what our truth table would look like here. Okay, these are for that one. So that's how you can make all sorts of different truth tables.